Hello and welcome to Ryno's Ravens Review. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. So we waited all off season to see the rematch, the AFC Championship game, and to a certain extent it went the same. Ravens lose by a touchdown, though the game ended with the Ravens on the field taking 3 shots into the end zone for the tie/win, I guess. To either give Justin Tucker a chance to tie it or Lamar Jackson a chance to win the game. So, big difference. Because they were like this close. Like, cut the front quarter inch off of your shoe, Isaiah Likely, and touchdown catch. Though at the same time, maybe if the offensive line could block or learn how to line up, that might have helped. Hey, if the defense had covered the guy for that game-winning touchdown by the Chiefs, maybe it's a little different. I saw Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson on the same side of the field. So definitely a blown coverage. Everybody was like, "Oh, Humphrey, go run with the guy." First of all, Humphrey cannot run with that dude. That dude is too fast. Mr. Worthy is his name, from Kansas City, very fast. And again, Eddie Jackson and Marcus Williams were on the other side of the field. The same side? Why would they be on the same side of the field? That seems odd, right? And oh yeah, how about when you hit that big pass to Bateman when got down to the 10-yard line at the end of the game? Why not clock the ball? You wasted, yeah, it might have taken you 10 seconds to get up to the line, maybe. But then, you clock it there, then you have 20 seconds to run the 3 plays. And you could have ran the same 3 plays that you did. You could have. And honestly, they probably would have. You almost could have saved yourself another maybe 2-3 seconds. Maybe been able to take it. Well, you would only would have been able to take 3 shots because the clock would put it on 2nd down, and then you miss likely open in the end zone. Then you miss Flowers open in the end zone. Then you finally hit Likely in the back of the end zone, but he ends up coming down out of bounds. Again, much different, right? Because you did, technically, if we go back in time and make precision passing a thing or something, Ravens would have gotten a touchdown. Lamar just missed. The throw to Likely, the first one, the hard throw. I'm not going to say that was an easy throw, but come on, man. That one to Zay Flowers, there wasn't anybody around him. Lamar just threw it 10 yards behind him, or maybe 5 yards behind him. It's like, wow. Like, literally, where are you throwing that football? But whatever. There were several other things that I didn't like about the way the Ravens performed. Though in the end, they did, I guess, perform a little better. A keyword there is a little better, not much. What else am I talking about? Something about offensive line play, like blocking Chris Jones. Like the first time we see Roger Rosengarten this year, Chris Jones is kind of just, whoota, and he's by Roger Rosengarten. Holy crap. Lele sitting next to him, not engaged with any defensive lineman, which seems kind of odd. Also trying to block Chris Jones. So essentially you had 2 offensive linemen try to block Chris Jones, and he just ran circles around him. He literally ran a circle around 2 offensive linemen. Yeah, maybe you don't have the right offensive lineman in there. Sounds like it. I'm sure Falele is big and strong, but you know what? Not very quick. Hypothetically speaking, if McCary had been in there for Falele, and again, hypothetically, you would have think McCary would have been a little bit faster, maybe gotten a hand on Chris Jones, and therefore, at the very least, it doesn't force Lamar to fumble. Though Lamar kind of staring right there, because it wasn't his blind side, it was his front side. How do you not see that? Okay. And I mentioned not clocking the ball, but Ravens were out of timeout at that point because they wasted 2 on defense early to middle of the third quarter. Wow, really? 2 of them? You needed 2 of them. You didn't have the right personnel on the field twice. Which, while I'm criticizing the defense for, yes, very critical, because it did aid. Shit. I was trying to think of the word. May not have necessarily cost you the game, not having that timeout, but it certainly didn't help. Because you could have had the timeout, called the timeout after that Bateman catch, and you would have 30 seconds to try 4 times in the end zone. But no, you decided to call 2 of them on defense in the third quarter because you didn't get personnel out there, or you didn't get the play out there. And while I think it's a big deal, not only because it did cost you a timeout, it's something we've seen again and again and again with between this coaching staff and the personnel on the field. They don't seem to understand that what play clocks are and time limits or to get plays in and whatnot, because they do it all the time. And they did it several times on offense. Except on offense, you can choose to just let the clock run out. Because that did happen. They did get a delay a game on offense. The Ravens did. Again, because they can't get to playing all the time. They can't get to playing all the time. Lamar can't tell the offense quick enough. They can't get lined up quick enough. Too much pre-snap movement, and you can't get the play. And again, it's an issue because this isn't the first time. Okay, it's early in the year. Fine. It's an issue that has happened over and over and over and over again under this coaching personnel, under this coaching staff. You need to make changes. You're not making changes. You're not coaching up your coaches. You're not coaching up your players to, hey, get to the line up. You know, hey, Lamar, maybe stop making a move left and right all the time. I get that you want to be able to decide if the defense is in man or zone or whatnot, but look, if the clock's ticking down on play clock, you kind of got to just go. But again, how many times have they gotten delay of games because they didn't get plays in on time? Or had to waste timeouts on defense because they can't get the right personnel in there in a timely fashion? It's happened way too often. It's bad coaching. I mean, at this point, it's just bad coaching. Or is it bad execution by your $30-something million quarterback? Well, it's one of them. You got 40 seconds. Pick the play, send it in there, go. Right? Happens how many other times during the game? Though we're all assuming play clock was reset right. Possible it wasn't. Who knows, really? Because it wouldn't surprise me if the play clock just wasn't reset right half the time. That happens. Alright, let's talk about the defense. While they did make several good plays, there were several nice plays by the defense. And probably more often than anything, like a pressure or a good tackle, was a pass breakup somewhere. Marcus Williams early in the game, towards the end zone-ish. Receiver technically did caught it, but kind of batted his hands down and pushed him down. So when he hit the ground, the ball came out. There was, what's his name, Ardarius Washington in the end zone breaking up a pass. It really looked like it was going to be a touchdown until he, hit the receiver's hands and the ball comes out. Simpson jumping up later in the game, batting down a pass that Mahomes actually ended up catching. No, he didn't run for yards like Lamar did. He was wrapped up and dropped immediately. While the defense did make several mistakes, they did come through more often than not when they needed to. They didn't necessarily apply a lot of pressure to Patrick Mahomes to a certain extent. There's probably a reason for that. It's not like Patrick Mahomes gets sacked a lot. He does slide around that pocket very well. They did get some sacks. Ajabo got a sack. Well, how about that? And then who was it? Trenton Simpson. I can't remember who it was. Combining for a sack, though it was really close to like a no game. But that's fine. And then there was Roquan's pick right off of the. What was it? I think it was that the failed fourth down when they failed to go for it. Ravens offense tried to go for it on fourth down and didn't make it, of course, because of a shitty play call. Roquan gets a pick on the very next play. That is a time where, you're very grateful to have Roquan Smith in pass coverage. Though at the same time, why was Roquan covering wide receivers so much? He's a very good player. I'm not going to say that Roquan Smith is not a good linebacker and can't pass defend. He can't run with wide receivers. That's why he's a linebacker and not a corner or a safety. So maybe don't have that. I feel like Ravens, at least early, didn't line up in nickel as much. Like, I didn't feel like I saw Williams, Jackson, and Hamilton on the field that much. Somewhat odd. Though I guess Eddie Jackson may not know the defensive playbook that well. So what else I got written down here? I get the no coverage. Yes. They had several miscues in coverage. Roquan let a few wide receivers get past him, though at the same time, is he really letting wide receivers get past him, or it's just a mismatch that shouldn't happen? And yes, a few defensive backs broke up passes. But again, now, the Chiefs were at the 35-yard line, the Ravens 35-yard line, so would the Chiefs have gotten a touchdown there anyway? Don't know. But you never really gave the defense a chance because you called some kind of coverage and they didn't understand it. Because running back went motion out in the flat, same side as Worthy, the wide receiver. So it looks like Humphrey is thinking, well, if I go with this wide receiver, then nobody's covering this running back. So you go for it, the running back, and then nobody, say a safety, Eddie Jackson. Marcus Williams was kind of on the other side of the line of scrimmage, or on the other side of the field, kind of up in the box almost. Not sure why. When you see the running back moving out like that, you probably want to go or back up a little bit. Maybe cause Eddie Jackson to move over towards that side of the field. I don't know. Maybe, too late a movement, too late a motion by the Chiefs couldn't allow the Ravens to adjust. But at the same time, even after the snap and you see the guy running wide open down the field, where is anybody? Eddie Jackson's not even in the picture until the guy's in the end zone already. Wow. And again, yes, several good plays. You almost hate that blown coverage happened because it did end up costing him the game because the defense came through so many other times. Not only the breakups that I talked about or Roquan's interception after that failed fourth down attempt, but after Chris Jones's forced fumble on Lamar, what happened? The Chiefs have the ball in the red zone already. Did they get a touchdown? No, they did not get a touchdown. Part of it was because I think was that when Marcus Williams broke up the ball? I don't remember, but it's not important. Defense did hold Kansas City Chiefs to only a field goal. They get the ball already in the red zone. And that's it. That's all they get is a field goal. Well, there's a defense coming through for you. And you know what? The amount of dollars you spend on your defense is much lower than the amount of dollars you spend on your offense. So maybe that's why I'm pointing out how the failures of the offense. And that's really why I lost the game. Sure, you could have been helped out a little bit more by your defense. But you know what? They helped you out a lot. They helped you out a lot. With the other, get to the offense now. And let's actually get into some numbers here. I am on Ravens.com, BaltimoreRavens.com. Haven't even talked about any of the numbers. I do have the NFL's page open. I don't know if I'll get to that. Maybe. Just trying to decide if that's even necessary at this point. I mean, it's a useful tool and all. It's just, do I really want to use it? Look at this completion rate from Lamar Jackson. Not too great. 26 of 41. Ugh. Had a lot of misses, especially on his deep shots. Hit a ball for Likely that was too far. Hit a ball for, was it Flowers, that was too short. And they were like back to back. It's like, flip them, man. Of course, that is kind of what happens by not practicing enough. At least in my opinion. You understand, the more you practice, and the more you practice throwing a deep ball anyway, you better understand how fast your receivers are, what trajectory is better for them in certain coverages, how far to lead them. It's going to be different for different receivers because different receivers are faster than each other. Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely, while they're not technically slow, I'm not saying Likely slow and by no means, but is Flowers faster? Can you put the ball at a certain height for Likely that you can't for Flowers? Because Likely's already 6.5 feet tall. How tall is Flowers? 5.5 feet? He drafted a teeny tiny wide receiver. I mean, he's a fine player. I just prefer my receivers to be taller than at least the first number in their height to not be a 5. I prefer it to be a 6. Personal choice, I guess. Then there was, he did hit that one to Bateman, okay? Yeah, he did hit the one to Bateman. It's a very nice catch by Bateman. It wasn't necessarily an accurate throw, but Bateman made a very nice catch to get there. He did have to go up for it and kind of caught it more with his fingertips, I guess, than his hands. Early runs, pointing out the rushing attempts here. Lamar Jackson, 16, Derrick Henry, 13. Really? Really? Okay, well, technically you ran the ball more. Though, how convenient it is that you don't have second half rushing yards or rushing yard attempts on this little game center page. I wonder if I can see a box score. I wonder if it'll tell me anything. I don't care about preseason. That's not gonna. It doesn't divide it up that way. Because I do feel like they went away from running, at least Derrick Henry anyway. They went away from running Derrick Henry in the second half. So, well, yes, technically you did have more rushes in total, but you brought in Derrick Henry to kind of correct the problem in the AFC Championship game, and you then stopped running him. Okay. I mean, I guess you're not happy with 3.5 yards a carry. Kind of what happens when you put Derrick Henry in the backfield and he's a giant, and then you go with kind of a jumbo package, right? That's what it looked like to me. The first several runs for Derrick Henry was in a larger formation. Like with Ricard in there. And 2 tight ends. It's going to look more like a run there. You got a run-looking formation, and you got Derrick Henry in there. Okay, if I'm the Chiefs, let's put some bigger guys in there. Do you not think that Derrick Henry can run the football out of a more spread-out formation? Forget whether it's from the shotgun or under center, because apparently Derrick Henry likes to run the ball when the quarterback's under center, and Lamar Jackson likes to be in the shotgun. You're going to have to get that figured out. If you practice more, you might have gotten that figured out already. But apparently you don't practice as much as I think you should. Which is probably key there. You don't practice as much as I think you should. And again, you're running a bigger formation. You're tipping your hand, man. I mean, had you ran a few pass plays out of that, especially early, it's fine. Run 2 tight ends and a fullback in there with Derrick Henry. Throw the ball once or twice in the first quarter. That's why formations like that, I think, are really good. It's when you can throw the ball out of that formation. It really does make a defense not be able to be one-dimensional. Or if they do decide to go one-dimensional, then you know what? You can throw the ball if they're in a heavy run defense. Or you can run the ball if they're in a heavy pass defense. It's almost like a fastball and a changeup in baseball. You can't just throw your changeup and throw your changeup and throw your changeup, and it's like, what are you changing up on? You haven't established your fastball. They're going to key on it as a run play because you haven't established that you can throw out of that formation yet. Now, it was the first game of the year, so it's not like you could say, oh, well, we did it in other games. Well, you didn't even do it in this game. So again, if you're throwing the ball out of the more bigger formation, maybe you can run the ball more out of that formation, but that's okay. Don't do that. Something Chris Collinsworth mentioned, who was on the broadcast, mentioned at the start of the second half was the average target depth that Lamar was throwing to in the first half. It was ridiculous. It was like 1 yard. It was. I mean, how many passes did you see Lamar throw way beyond the line of scrimmage in the first half? That's weird, right? That's weird. You do need to do that in the first half. You do. You have to. You got to stretch the field out a little bit. Otherwise, the defense is going to be closer to the line of scrimmage. Probably why Derrick Henry couldn't have that many running lanes. Now, he did run for 46 yards and a touchdown. Maybe he'd have gotten more rushing lanes. You need to throw the ball to be able to run, and you need to run to be able to throw the ball. They're a tandem there. They're a pair. You really can't do one without the other. It's called balance. But, again, somewhat of an imbalanced offense. But you see in the second half where maybe Henry didn't get going, but Lamar got going running the football. That did open up some passing lanes, didn't it? Didn't it? Yeah. Too many throws in the second half. Way too many missed throws. Henry disappeared. Henry really did disappear in the second half. It's so weird. Like, even on the last drive. And I know Justice Hill, we'll get down to the receiving numbers here. I mean, Justice Hill, 6 catches for 50 yards. That's a good number. That's a good number. Now, I mean, yeah, that adds to your average depth of target, but 52 yards is pretty good, right? I mean, what is that, 9 yards a catch? I'll take that, right? I mean, you throw to Justice Hill one time and you run Derrick Henry one time, and that's a first down. And you only ran 2 plays. Maybe you run another play that fails. Okay. There you go. First down, though. But Justice Hill got a lot more playing time than I kind of thought he would, especially like on the last drive. I did expect to see Derrick Henry. I understand the idea, Justice Hill is like a third down running back. Okay. What the hell does that mean? Derrick Henry can't catch a football? Derrick Henry can't pass block? Saw Derrick Henry pass block a little bit. He looked like he can do it to me. I mean, hell, he's just as big as any other of those guys. I mean, he really is. I mean, Derrick Henry is about as big as an edge rusher. I don't understand why you just didn't use him more. I mean, I understand you don't want to use him too much early because you want to have him later in the season, but I don't think this was the game to do that for, Use Derrick Henry because he can help you win. That's okay. That's fine. Don't use Derrick Henry. And then I mentioned the movements here. That's really about it. There's not a whole lot more to go over here. I mean, excuse me. Very disappointing outcome, because you were there, you were so close, and you literally lost by a toenail. Very disappointing. Wrapping up this my summarization here. To a certain extent, you can almost take everything else, every other miscue that the Ravens had out of the equation here, and it really comes down to the last 30 seconds. The last 30 seconds of the game. And even without 2 timeouts that you wasted early, clock the football, and then you have how many shots from the 10-yard line with about 21 seconds left. The thing is, by trying to run all the way up the field and not clock the ball, you do kind of waste several seconds. You have to quickly get the pass in, get the play in there. Lamar can't ad-lib as much. He can't dance around the pocket. Now, he does have some time to dance around, but he doesn't have that much time. And to a certain extent, I don't understand. You should have clocked the football. You should have clocked the football. It's not the same as a timeout because you are in control of how fast the next play happens, right? It's not a timeout where you're not allowed to run your next play yet. You clock the football, you pick the play, you send it in there. If you can do that in 5 seconds, you're allowed to snap the ball in 5 seconds. Provided you didn't swap personnel. Which you could have done that. But it would have given you time to get the play in there, give Lamar maybe some time to ad-lib, and of course at the same time, you know what? Did you really even need to? All you needed to do was throw the football to the football players. You had 3 shots to do it, and you failed to do it twice. You technically did it the 3rd time, except he couldn't get down and bounce. Very disappointing the way that game ended. Alright. Enough of me rambling on about how missed opportunities and terrible throws and terrible play and all that stuff. Let's end this video and get out of here. So this is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens review, putting an end to week 1 of the 2024 regular season. Ravens will have the Las Vegas Raiders as their next opponent in M&T Bank. So we get our first home game. Yay. Going to be next Sunday. So again, this is going to do it for this edition of Ryno's Ravens review. Please stay tuned we'll go with this coming Saturday for Ryno's Ravens preview, and I will preview the matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am the Angry Ryno. Fly Ravens, fly.